Hello, everyone. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever it is you're watching this. We're back with another round table. You'll notice that my voice doesn't sound very much like Richard's, and I'm introducing this one. Not sure why. I volunteered to do it. I wanted to do it. So back with another round table, which is our roundup of season two. Season two ended. I think was it the end of May? Did we decide? End of May, I think.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
long time
Not,
ago.
not the season 2 that ended in 1964 or 5 or whatever.
Yeah.
5, yeah.
We'd be a bit
The
even more
2025
behind on the
season
times
2.
then. Yeah.
Yes.
Although to be fair, we still haven't done a roundup of that season yet, so we are a little bit behind the times. But we are talking about the season two that was broadcast this year. It's a little bit different this time, so it's not like a general roundtable where we review the whole thing in one go. We're just going to pick three things each that were our favorite things from the episode. So not our favorite episodes, but our favorite kind of characters, or favorite scenes, or favorite bits of music, or whatever it is we've chosen. And just to try and bring some positivity in, because I know that a lot of our roundtables. I'm looking more at myself here rather than the other guys because they were all pretty positive. But there was times when I could be a little bit negative. So the aim is just to put a little bit of positivity into it. I don't think Joe's going to be joining us today, but I'll introduce everyone. So I'm Pete, and then I'll pass round to Richard.
Hello, I'm Richard, and I have my Shooty Sonic here, but very sadly, it's...
Oh, isn't that working?
Oh,
No,
Given up
that's
the ghost.
exactly what happened to mine. Yeah.
I suppose much like the air or the show itself, perhaps. But nothing that new batteries won't fix. But very sadly, I can't do the Sonic thing anymore. Or I can, but it's just not lit up.
can you do it? If you do it the right way up, Richard, it will work then.
Oh, my mistake. Yeah, there we go.
There we
Alright,
go.
so-
There we go.
The
And then
crystal
we've
still
got
lights up, actually, but yeah, sorry.
Miles. If you want to introduce yourself, Miles.
Hello, I'm Miles. Nice to meet you all. It's very nice to be here.
And then we've got Josh.
Hello, I am Josh. Although it says, for some reason, I've just noticed
Josh-
it says
Josh
Josh,
Sue.
you.
Joshu.
I'm not
Josh
sure what
you.
that's about. Maybe that can be my new internet name. You've heard it here
I
first.
kind of like it, you know. We've all got our surnames, so we're ripe for stalking. But you're a bit anonymous. It's cool.
Yeah, just
Not like anybody wants to stalk us, but you know, go for it. I
the
don't
Tommy
go
Wiseau
Nice
of
to be
this,
wanted,
this
isn't
chat.
So I think what we'll do is, if we go around, hopefully we've all got three things. I haven't actually written any notes. I know that Miles, you said you'd written some notes.
Well, I say notes. I'd written 3 bullet points
Three
about
things.
3 months ago. Yeah,
Well, we might
It's
have,
a magic number.
we might have
3 is the magic
different,
number.
we might have varying levels of how much.
Or things that
preparation-
might cross over as well, though. You know,
Yeah.
we might have.
Yeah, that's true.
I was going to
Should
say
have a
if one of
backup.
us brings one
Great.
up, and yeah, it should have a backup really. But if one of us brings something up that's crosses over, we'll all.
We'll join in.
Yeah.
But what I'm thinking is maybe if we do one each, so we take it in turns of doing one
Yeah,
each.
good shout. Good shout.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to hear me talk for like 20 minutes in one go. So I guess it's Richard's channel, so we'll start off with Richard. So what's your first positive of season
Gosh,
2?
Okay. It's Mr. Ring-a-Ding, he makes your heart bells sing. So, yeah, Mr. Ring-a-Ding, I think. I mean, I was thinking back to what I loved about the season, my favourite parts, and... Oh, I think right from the off, Lux and Lucky Day were the big standouts for me. I'm not actually sure which one I'd pick as my favourite. I may be inclined to say Lux, although the fan bit still kind of rubs me up the wrong way slightly. Although even having said that, I think it was James Goff who's done the novelisation was kind of talking about it in Doctor Who magazine and kind of making the point that there's a nice parallel there between Mr. Ring-a-Ding kind of coming out of the screen and trying to become a person into the real world, and the Doctor and Belinda kind of become they become cartoons and they kind of become trapped in that the TV world. So there's a nice kind of a thing going on there.
Yeah.
But lots about Lux that I loved, to be honest, and just stylistically as well. And from that opening moment where there's the little the thing in the cinema and there's the film being shown about nuclear weapons or whatever, and there's some really nice seeding of stuff that comes into it later, with that and the whole thing of the idea of light and stuff at the end. But I think Mr. Ring-a-Ding kind of embodies that more than anything. It was the thing that kind of struck us all when that first trailer came out at Christmas last year. Oh my god, they're doing a cartoon episode, a cartoon man coming out the screen, and I think he was just a delight throughout. I remember watching the first preview clip as well for Lux when we got our first glimpse of him, and Alan Cumming doing the voice and the song for the first time, and it comes out behind the curtain. And yeah, I think it's a song that works, unlike some other songs maybe in this era. It's a song that works for the character, and it's not too annoying. It's actually quite catchy, and and just, yeah, the whole premise. I think that was done really, really well. Loved the whole thing of him trying to become a person at the end, and the kind of the nightmarish images of him becoming more three-dimensional. The idea of trying to steal the Doctor's regen energy, which is like stealing light, and just, yeah, a lot of that worked for me. And then even at the end, when he kind of becomes light and kind of just expands and fills the universe or whatever, kind of dissipates. Yeah, it all works. So I think, yeah, I don't have a bad word to say about Mr. Ringading.
Cool. So I'll go around. What I'll do is I'll go around in the order that you're on my screen, because then I won't lose track of it. I get easily confused. So I'm going to go to me next, and actually it works out quite well because mine's kind of similar to Richard's. It's kind of on the same theme. So probably will be a brief one. But mine was the kind of breaking the fourth wall bit in Lux. So the three fans and the Doctor and what was her name? Belinda. See, I do know this stuff. Doctor and Belinda meeting the three fans. I just thought I nearly said Ruby. Yeah. I just thought it was a really nice scene. I think the only slight negative bit of it, and I'm trying to stay positive, the only slight negative is they did feel a little bit like caricatures, a little bit stereotypical fans. But I thought the whole idea of it was just beautiful, and the whole thing of like the fans that kind of have met each other through their love of the show, and kind of really struck a chord with me, because anybody that's watched the previous roundtables will know that I wang on every single one of them about all the conventions I've been to and all the people I've met at them. And obviously I kind of go to them for the Doctor Who stars, but actually what's ended up happening is I now go to them to meet guys like you, and it's a social thing, and it's beautiful how Doctor Who brings people together, and it was just really nice to see that reflected in the show. And it was also amazing, I thought, that there was kind of touching on what Richard just said about the animation side of it. It was amazing that 62 years on from Doctor Who starting, we're still doing things that haven't been done in the franchise. Animated characters, breaking the fourth wall. I know it has been done a little bit, but not much. So it just felt like a breath of fresh air, and it kind of, all the naysayers that say, oh, it should be cancelled because it's doing nothing new. It's like, well, it is doing stuff new. It is breaking down barriers and breaking down fourth walls and stuff. So really enjoyed that. Thought that was quite emotional, and even to add to it was that it was my birthday when I watched it, and you guys were there. Well, Josh wasn't, but you guys were there. So that
was he was there in spirit.
I tried. Manchester is a bit too far away,
especially Easter weekend as well.
Yeah.
But it was just really nice, because I don't know if any of you guys knew that scene was coming, but I didn't. Or maybe it had been rumoured, but I didn't know too much about it anyway. So to see that on screen and then be like, that's us. We're watching Doctor Who together, and
it was very meta, wasn't it? It was like,
we're embracing it, we're loving it. There was people of all different ages in the room, and different backgrounds, and people that, apart from me and my dad, who I'm sure we would have met if it wasn't for Doctor Who, there was nobody in that room that would have known each other if it hadn't been for Doctor Who, really, I guess.
Sort of. Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, just thought that was a really nice scene. So we'll go to Josh next. Your first one.
First pick is Mr. Ncuti Gatwa as the 15th Doctor, in which has turned out to be his last season as Doctor Who. I thought he was fantastic. I think that Ncuti Gatwa was very good as the Doctor. It feels weird saying was, even now, because in my head it's like, because we don't have an incumbent, he still is the Doctor. I think that he'd really settled into the role by the time we get into season 2. I think a lot of us thought, I'm not sure about you guys, but by the time we get to Joy to the World, I think is the point where it's like he is firmly established as the Doctor. So the additional episodes that we got after that point, he was completely settled into the role, and I thought that he was so good. I think looking back at his Doctor now, because a lot of people, I guess, would stereotype his Doctor in saying he's the one who cries all the time. But I think that while that is perhaps a fault in maybe it was overdone in episodes. I think that he's characterized by the fact that his emotions are so freely opened up, but also kind of weirdly false in a way. Something I noticed rewatching some episodes is that he just laughs all the time, not in like a Tom Baker way, but in a way that I sort of don't
He's
trust him.
masking.
Yeah. And he
Yeah.
brought back, even though he was so emotionally open, there was this sort of mystery to what is he thinking, which I think Belinda certainly highlighted as well in the Robot Revolution, in that he is very alien. And I think that is something that he managed to get across very well with his portrayal of the Doctor. Physically as well, he's very more athletic than other actors in the past, so that brought a new dynamic to it as well. And we also had episodes like Story in the Engine, which are episodes that you couldn't do with certain other actors in the role. But I think that he really showed a new side to the Doctor, and I miss him, and I wish we had more episodes. And I think that what I liked about season 2 as well is that in season 1, obviously he was filming Sex Education at the same time, so we did have that sort of wedged gap in the middle where he sort of wasn't really there. It felt, even though we had Lucky Day, it felt like it was more of a full season with him this time around. So we managed to get like a nice dose of Ncuti for a season, which I really liked, and I'm glad that we had him as the Doctor in this season. I thought he was a brilliant piece of casting.
Cool. And lastly, Miles.
Well, if I can piggyback on Josh's one there, I'd agree that one of my favorite things was the performance of Ncuti in this run. I think particularly in, as you mentioned, Story in the Engine, which was again, like you say, a story that we wouldn't have got with any other Doctor. You could tell he was invigorated by that material that he'd been given in that story, and I mean, like, full of Doctor-defining moments, right down to, I think, maybe one of my favorite moments of the season when it's his 6-word story and it's the whole "I'm born, I die, I'm born." So poetic, it nails the show, kind of has that emotional beat to it as well. I think that really highlighted his sort of acting chops, and I think that in the Reality War as well, he really kind of gave a good final performance as the Doctor as well. So yeah, I think I really would say that Ncuti is a real standout in season 2. It was a real joy to watch that performance. So yeah,
cool. This really is quick fire, isn't it? But should we go straight in with the second positive? So back round to Richard.
Go for it, Richard.
Yes, I'm just checking my list again. Right, okay, yeah. So the thing I put down for the second one.
I'm going to do the same thing.
Going through chronologically, I suppose, slightly. The final scene of Lucky Day, I think, actually that kind of follows quite nicely from the whole Ncuti thing, because I think that for him was just such a electric defining moment. I suppose this for me, like, when we first saw that Roderick William was going to be that character was announced way back, like before season 1 when I was filming. I remember thinking at the time, because we knew, I think he was like going to be a politician, or that was rumored. I remember thinking, I really hope there's like a scene where Ncuti has a really steely showdown with him. I can just picture that, like, taking him down. And of course, in the end, we didn't quite get that. I suppose it happens off screen because he takes him down off screen in 2045 or whatever it is, sometime in the 2040s. But yeah, that's kind of what we got here instead with Conrad. And I just think that worked so well. And it was a Doctor-like episode, Lucky Day. As I've said, one of my favourites from the season. And because he's absent for so long, you really, by the end of it, you really feel like, oh my god, yeah, I'm so glad to see him. So glad he's cropped up, and particularly because that episode as well is like an episode where almost the fact that he's not there is kind of why things go wrong, or like if he had been there, it would have kind of been okay or better. but feels really desperate throughout, and then you get to this moment at the end, and like he just puts Conrad in his place, and just amazing the way it was shot as well, the performance, the little speech he gives about bandwidth or whatever. I thought everything kind of the writing as well, everything came together in that moment. One of my favourite moments for him. Just a really brilliant showdown. I think, he had a lot of great sort of villains this season as well, like with the barber and obviously Mr. Ringading as mentioned, and the Rani as well coming up. But I think that was probably my favourite from the whole era. My favourite kind of showdown between him and a bad guy.
Cool. I'm also gonna piggyback on Richard's with Lucky Day. So mine isn't like a it's not really a scene, it's more a kind of theme of the episode, or where I thought the episode was going to be going. So I think I mentioned this on our roundtable for Lucky Day, but when I first watched Lucky Day, I thought the episode was going to go in a completely different direction to where it went, because I wasn't aware. I don't know if it was rumored, but I wasn't aware that Mermaid Man was going to be a bad guy.
Okay, yeah.
So I don't know what he was in Little Mermaid, wasn't he? I don't know what he was called. Anyway, that guy.
The Prince, wasn't it?
Prince.
Eric,
yeah.
Yeah, Prince Eric.
I didn't know that he was going to be a baddie, so I didn't know the episode was going to go down that route, and I thought it was going to go, instead of that, I thought it was going to go down the route of kind of showing Ruby's troubles at dealing with life after the TARDIS and kind of her PTSD.
Kind of like the PTSD, yeah.
Yeah, it does hint a little bit of it. Again, I don't want to say my negative of the episode is, but I wish it had gone a little more...
If you say a negative, you get kicked off the call.
Get kicked off. I just wish it had gone a little bit more in depth with that, but I think it was beautiful the way it was handled, and like, again, it was a great kind of analogy for like people who have been through difficult things in life and having to readjust to normal life after that.
It's post-TARDIS stress disorder.
Yeah, and it's one of those things that I don't think Doctor Who does very often. Like we saw it a little bit in Jodie's last one with the companion support group. And I think it would have been nice to go back to that actually, maybe in Lucky Day and see a bit more of that. Maybe Ruby go into the support group. But I just thought it was really beautiful the way that it was kind of handled, and given that it was by the same writer as Praxius, it's a lot better than that. No, I just thought it was really nice because like for anybody that doesn't know, and not to make it about me, but I volunteer at a group called Andy's Man Club, which is a mental health group for men. And a lot of the people that we have come in to Andy's Man Club do have things like PTSD. And PTSD, people tend to think of as someone who's been, off fighting in a different country and then come back. And it's not always that. It can be PTSD of a relationship, or PTSD of maybe even just your childhood upbringing and things that maybe didn't go quite as well as they should have done. So I just thought it was really beautiful to see that. And it made it more grounded, and it made it more kind of... It was almost a door back into Russell's first era, where it felt a lot more kind of, these were real characters, they're real people with families and lives, and their travels did affect them. So I thought it was really well done, and I actually found myself getting quite emotional watching it, which doesn't happen very often with Doctor Who. But I did get a little bit kind of, not teary, but kind of a little bit emotional with that, and yeah, just thought it was really well done. That was a bit soppy, that answer, wasn't it? But that's my second one anyway.
No, that's nice. I think it's always nice when a story resonates with you on an emotional level, for sure.
Yeah, so that was good. Josh, number 2.
My second pick is The Vindicator.
Oh,
which
okay.
Interesting.
I really liked that as a plot device and a thread running through the whole season.
Yeah,
I think one of my biggest problems with season 1 was that everything felt quite disjointed, especially that first batch of episodes. You go from Space Babies to the Devil's Cord, and there's a 6-month time jump, and you don't know how this relationship has developed at all between the Doctor and Ruby. Whereas having the whole plot with the Vindicator and trying to get Belinda home running throughout the whole season, everything developed much more organically, I think, between the Doctor and Belinda, and it worked so much in its favor. I really liked that episodes seemed to flow much better into each other, to the point where it wasn't serialized, but it had that kind of feel more so of like classic Who, of stories leading into each other.
And
I
little threads to be picked up as you go along.
yeah, and it wasn't like an ongoing mystery of like, oh my God, are they gonna get home? Is she gonna get back to May the 24th? Because we knew that's where it was heading. But I think just the subtlety of having that as we need to go to a location, put the Vindicator down, okay, we're one step closer to home, just gave a momentum to the series that I think it really needed of, yeah, we're going on a journey and we're going on an adventure through time and space and we're aiming to get somewhere, which
Like a
I
key to
think,
time kind of thing of like it
yeah,
doesn't necessarily have to affect the story, but it's
yeah.
nice to have that little link running through yeah.
But I think it's more, it's I prefer it to the key to time because the problem with the key to time is that you go looking for the key. Oh yeah, we found it. Now let's just have an adventure. Whereas this, it was always let's put it down and have an adventure. But it was just a subtle sort of, well, not subtle, but it was inconspicuous enough a thread that it gave a momentum to the series, and got me, I think, more excited for the finale because it felt like, yeah, this is where we're heading the whole time.
Mm.
In a similar way, I guess, to something like the cracks in time in series five, that
Hmm.
kind of thread of like we're leading somewhere, we don't know where it's going. Because I think that we have like mystery box threads, like who is River Song, who's in the vault, who's Susan Twist, who's Mrs. Flood. But I think in terms of series arcs, I prefer those subtler ones of it's not a mystery of who is this person, what's the revelation going to be? Because 9 times out of 10, these revelations are either controversial or underwhelming. So having a thread and a series arc of it's not we're waiting for some big reveal, it's just we're heading somewhere, I think works so much better and is more satisfying as a viewer. And so I think that the whole plot of the Vindicator and getting home to May the 24th works really well in this season, and I really like that.
Cool. Yeah. I was
Nice.
reading in Doctor Who magazine actually, I think last month, they did a piece on the props from the season and the Vindicator was mentioned. And the two things they said were, I think it was one of the most breakable props in Doctor Who history. It kept breaking.
It looks so flimsy, doesn't it?
I think
It looks fragile.
that as well.
In the well, I think it is. He just
Oh,
opens
yeah.
it and it's like a fold away
Yeah.
like clothes
Tent.
dryer, isn't it?
Well,
It's
off
just
the
Yeah,
back
yeah.
of that as well, they were kind of saying because of that partly there were like I think 3 or 4 different versions of it that they made across the season, and I suppose some that opened up and some that didn't, and some that could be used more easily in the Omega scene at the end, I guess, and a bit more robust.
And didn't they look at one of them on that Hooniverse show as well? Didn't they look
did,
at the
yeah.
Vindicator? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
All
that
the
would have been one of
blankets and-
many then. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I'm guessing that's how they're able to do that. Like, oh, we can just take one of them and it'll be fine. But yeah.
And you also know the Vindicator is something that when Ncuti decides that he likes Doctor Who again and he does Big Finish, it's the sort of thing they're going to put into his Big Finish stories at the start of them to
Well,
slot in.
any Belinda story now has to have a Vindicator in it
Yeah.
somehow,
Yeah, I guess so.
right?
I
Just
guess
like
so.
if you're doing a
Already done it
Romana
with,
one
with the
thing of
magazine
like
comic
Keith's
strip, they've
time
already
thing.
got it in there. Yeah.
Cool. So Miles, your second one.
Yeah, I'm going to go for a kind of both general and also specific one. I'm going to go for the atmosphere of the well. I think that the tense nature of that story felt like something quite different for the era. I think that we'd had a lot of sort of fun, bouncy stories, you know, your Devil's Called, your Space Babies, all that sort of stuff. So to have one that was suddenly, I mean, you know, 73 Yards certainly had a darker angle, so did Dot and Bubble and all that sort of stuff. But The Well felt like kind of a classic Doctor Who darkness that really had me hooked watching that. And yeah, I think that it really succeeded for me in creating a kind of scary aliens-esque um, vibe for that story. And I think that obviously the performances of Ncuti and Varada and the supporting cast in that, Rose Ayling-Ellis, amazing supporting cast member for that story. One of the highlights. In fact, she's probably another, if I could pick a fourth one, I'd probably pick her. She was up there with Alan Cumming in terms of, I think, the standouts of the series. So yeah, and it kind of all sort of boils down to that moment of Ncuti when he's up against Rose's character. I've forgotten the name of. Anyone
Alice?
remember their name?
Alice.
Alice, that's
Fenley.
it. Yeah, when he's up against and he's got that sort of pained Tennant-esque look from Midnight with the tears sort of starting to brim in his eyes. And I think that for me encapsulates that the tone of that story. So yeah, tonally, I think The Well is a massive positive for me, and the reason why that one really stood out in the season.
Okay, so time for number 3. So we'll go back to Richard for your final thing. Choose wisely. This is, you can keep 3
My last
things from the
chance.
current series of Doctor Who. Everything else gets wiped.
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
tapes get burned.
this is the thing with this one. I think I am probably just going to say, as a general thing, like Mrs. Flood / the Rani. The thing that I immediately kind of thought of was like the cue associated with the Rani's theme, which first plays in that reveal scene, and then, to be honest, they kind of overplay it in the finale. It's there everywhere, but it plays very memorably as well. Well, firstly in that reveal scene, and also at the cliffhanger as well, when they're doing the thing with the champagne glasses, and I think that's so perfect. I mean, that cliffhanger as well, to be honest, pretty faultless as far as I'm concerned. But I think I will extend that out. I mean, yeah, kudos. I think even I saw somewhere it wasn't even Murray that composed that, but like his assistants, I believe it's called Sam, who actually like came up with the melody, and yeah, he's been helping him with a lot of the stuff on the season, I think. So even more amazing. But yeah, I think just to kind of give a shout out as well to the character, to how it was done on the whole. I think it worked. For me, I know it was kind of derided a bit, like, oh, it's the Rani, but just like thinking back, like, oh my god, the villain of the most recent like season finale for Doctor Who was the Rani, and Ncuti got his wish to meet the Rani, and just it's kind of bonkers that it happened. I think, again, even though I know some people kind of found the Mrs. Flood thing a bit frustrating, I really enjoyed, particularly in this season, the build-up of that week to week, seeing how she'd crop up in her different guises. I mean, to go back to Lux, I think that's one of my favourites right at the end there, where she goes, trick of the light, and then crashes into the credits there. I love that. And yeah, just seeing her in her costumes every week. And yeah, just and then when Archie comes onto the scene as well, and she's got such presence and her costume, and the way that version of the character as well, it kind of honoured the original and the original intent behind the Rani being this ruthless scientist, and with the whole eugenics angle as well that comes into it with Gallifrey and the Time Lords and them being infertile or whatever it was. That to me felt like, oh, that's really nice. They've put that in there. It makes her feel a bit less like a big, broad kind of camp villain, I suppose, than she might have done. I don't know. Certain people kind of said, oh, maybe that's how she appears or comes across in other parts of the episodes. But that part, yeah, really felt very true and authentic. So yeah, I loved them as a pairing. Loved both of them. I think in particular Anita Dobson. She was not someone that I kind of was massively aware of really at all before she was in Doctor Who. But yeah, looking back now, it's so great that we got her in the show, and I'm really loved her contribution to it. I'll always remember when we met her after the proms with Russell as well, going to her taxi, and yeah, so yeah, Mrs. Flood, the Rani, Archie, and Anita.
Cool.
I think Archie Punjabi was fantastic. Sorry to jump in then, Pete, but yes, Archie, she was just a brilliant rendition of the Rani. It'd be great if there's some way of bringing her back. Big finish.
Yeah,
they can work out. They can do it easy.
They can.
Yeah.
And I think you're right, Richard, in that she wasn't really the cackling evil villain of I'm whatever, just gonna tear down the world for evil purposes. I don't know.
Clinical.
She
was like clinical and methodical, and
rewatching the Reality War, for example, I found that like when the Doctor talks about Poppy, she's I'm genuinely sorry, I really am, but there's like more at stake here. And
Yes.
loads of your other villains wanted to destroy life. I just wanted to
Ah.
create life. Like she isn't trying to rule the world. She's just trying to get a job done, and
Mm.
it's a means to an end, which I really liked that angle. Which
I'd even
which
actually, as well, I think we kind of made fun of this at the time as well, maybe, but looking back at Mrs. Flood's line in last year's finale, where she talks about her great plans and storming down the gates of heaven or whatever. Okay, maybe the way it's kind of phrased, but like when you think about it, actually, like more as time goes on, that like all along she's basically planning to like bring back the Time Lords and rescue Omega or whatever, use his corpse. She has this massive plan. It's kind of there in the background, kind of all throughout those seasons and throughout that era. That's really cool. Yeah.
Mine is sticking with the same episode again, Richard. So we've chosen 3 from the same episode.
We're in sync.
And I'm also gonna quite similar. I'm choosing a character rather than a scene or a theme or anything. So you can probably start to narrow it down. It's not Poppy. That's not what I'm chosen. I've chosen Anita.
Okay.
Anita, because I wasn't.
I almost said, is this going to be someone that we met at Hooverville by any chance? Yeah.
It is. But it's because I actually came up with my 3 before Hooverville, so she was actually already on the list before Hooverville. But I wasn't that keen on Joy to the World. I kind of was a bit confused by the plot. Didn't quite get it. I've rewatched it since, and it's okay. Quite like it, but at the time wasn't amazed by it. But then when we went to see the cinema screening of the Reality War, and I saw Anita on screen, I was just like, "Oh, I'm so happy to see her back!" Like it was such a positive to see her back, which I wasn't expecting. I think part of it is because it seemed like such a neat resolution to that cliffhanger. Because I think too often in Doctor Who the cliffhangers are solved too easily. And I kind of thought, even though it was solved quite easily, it was like, yeah, that's quite a good resolution. That's quite a good way to get out of it, because they had kind of set it up in Joy to the World that she can open these doors. And I also thought, what a cool character that she can just jump into like any episode of Doctor Who, and she can jump. You basically got her own TARDIS, hasn't she, at this point? But I thought, what a cool thing. Like she's if you strip away what Doctor Who is, it's a magic door. The TARDIS is a magic door, and she's basically doing that. And I just kind of thought, one day, Big Finish will grab hold of her and make a box set. Mark my words, right? We'll replay this in a few years.
Anita's Adventures.
Time Hotel.
But they will. They will. And actually, it's one of those things where a lot of the time, Big Finish make spin-offs, and you think, why are they doing that? Well, nobody's asking for that. But the Anita Adventures is the sort of thing where you think, actually, that's quite a cool idea. She's got a means to travel through time and space, and she's quite a charismatic character. I think most people I've spoken to seem to like her. Actress is really lovely. Met her twice now. Really, really lovely person. So I just put a big smile on my face when I saw her pop up on screen. She was, good character.
Would you have preferred her to be a full-time companion?
Oh.
Or just as a recurring character?
That's a good question. I think I would prefer
You do have those
character.
You do have those people who are like, it's kind of like Sally Sparrow or someone that is always like, oh, they'd make a great companion.
Or Linda with a
fact they're not, or Linda with a Y. I know it's almost the fact that they're not a companion, which is kind of the magical thing, oh, it would have been nice, but I think it's because they're not a companion that we kind of, enjoy seeing.
Yeah, but I also think like Russell got criticised a lot for cramming scenes full of characters and putting 18 unit members in the same scene, and like there was a lot of that. But I kind of think if Russell's era had been more kind of popping up with other characters like Anita rather than always going back to unit, that would have been quite nice actually. But yeah, I know the other criticism that people have given is that she was just holding the door open for most of the finale, but I still liked her. I still thought she was a cool character. Haven't really like my other 2 positives were stuff that either I could relate to, so like the fans, the social side of it, and then the PTSD I could kind of relate to the Andy's Man Club side of it. Both things that seem like quite well thought out reasons. This one, I just like the character. I haven't really got a reason.
And I think that you don't need a reason more than that. It's just if it at a base level you just enjoy it and you like it. I think that's reason in of itself.
Yeah, it was just one of those moments where she came on screen and I thought, I've missed you, even though I didn't know I'd missed her. So yeah.
Yeah.
Moving on to Josh for your final one, final positive.
Right. So my final pick is Poppy.
Oh.
Is it actually?
It's not.
Wow.
Okay.
Well, to be
Yeah,
fair,
actually, we've done well not to have any clashes yet. I don't think any of us had the same ones yet, have we?
I don't mind Poppy, but that's not a hill I'm going to die on today.
Okay.
My final pick are four people, and I'm going to butcher these names, so I apologize in advance. But Sharma Angel Welfel, Pete McTeague, Inua Ellams, McTighe, thank you,
Ty.
and Juno Dawson.
Yeah.
I really loved the range of writers that we had for this season.
Yeah.
And I think that actually we spoke about Story of the Engine already, but I think that especially getting Inua Ellams to write for Doctor Who was a big coup, actually. I was talking to somebody at uni and I mentioned to her that I like Doctor Who, and she said, well, I don't watch Doctor Who, but didn't Inua Ellams write an episode recently? So I think that getting new people on board always does attract a new audience. And I think that's something that you can forget, especially as a fan, especially when it's, we want to bring back not even just the showrunners like Moffat and Russell, but if we're trying to bring back the old favorites, like let's bring back Robert Shearman, let's bring back Toby Whithouse, as much as that would be great to see, to get new people on board who will attract a new audience is always a good thing. Juno Dawson as well is a massive get. I mean, outside of Doctor Who, very accomplished. And no matter what you think of the Interstellar Song Contest and for perhaps issues in the messaging of it, it felt very new and very fresh. I especially think that watching that episode, it looks fantastic. The direction of that episode in particular was so good. And also, yeah, The Well, you've mentioned, Miles, fantastic episode. And Lucky Day too. I don't think that there was a single episode that was written by a guest writer that I thought I'm not really too keen on, at the very least, the premise of it. I thought they were all interesting. And I think that it's always good to get new people on board for Doctor Who. So it was great to see Lucky Day, but especially Interstellar Song Contest, Story in the Engine, and The World, to get new writers on board. That is always a good thing. And I'm glad that we continued that trend with season 2.
And I remember you mentioning that on one of the earliest roundtables. You saying that you would love Russell's new era to bring in new writers. It might have even been the first roundtable we ever did. Which you said, I'd love for new writers to come in, and it didn't really happen in season 1, did it? I know we had the two.
You had
writers,
Rogue, but that was it.
But yeah.
But there you go. My wish was fulfilled. So there you go. That's Wish World, exactly.
Does he do
I kissed Desiderium and said, I wish for new writers. And it happened. So there you go. That's my final pick.
Lovely.
And Miles, last one for this round.
Yeah, well, I know, Pete, you said that we hadn't had too many crossovers, but I'm going to bring it right back round to the start again and agree with Richard that Mr. Ring-a-Ding. I mean, there's so many different aspects to talk about with regards to him, and a lot of it's already been touched on, but performance of Alan Cumming, as I've mentioned, I think real standout of the season. Brilliant vocal performance, the technical feat, and we talked about this at the time. Seeing that being pulled off was so incredible. I thought it was just genius, and also just the very idea of doing it, as we've mentioned, the fact that it's crazy, like you say, Pete, that we are this far into the show, and that's something that has never been done. There is still these new avenues to explore and these new storytelling sort of formats to play on. Again, I sort of mentioned at the time, it feels quite experimental in the way that a show like Buffy is, and pushes things in the sense of, well, let's just try it, let's just see if it works, and it almost, always the fact that it's trying and being experimental, I think that is enough to get me on board and to enjoy enjoy that. So yeah, I think that the creation of Mr. Ring-a-Ding, that villain, that character, from a technical standpoint, from a performance standpoint, from a story standpoint, is absolutely brilliant. And if I could if you do want a bonus thing that isn't the same as Richard's from the start, I will pick the shot from the Interstellar Song Contest, not the one. The one that a lot of people talk about, that sort of triangular thing of the ship and all people going, the one just preceding that, of the Doctor as he's trying to stop this thing happening, and you see in the background just people.
Yeah.
It is harrowing, absolutely harrowing. Something I don't think visually we've seen in Doctor Who before. Something as huge as that and terrifying as that. So then that would be another little one there if you just want to have an even broader spectrum. But yes, so there you go.
That definitely is the shot that stayed with me from that episode. I think we talked about it at the time.
Yeah.
And also something that you mentioned in terms of experimenting. I think that Mr. Ring-a-Ding as well, I really loved that episode. I think Lux was one of the heights of the season. But it's experimental in a way that works for Doctor Who. Because you mentioned something like Buffy, and a lot of people say, well, we should do like Buffy did, we should have a musical episode of Doctor Who. And yet, whenever they sort of lean into that with the Goblin King song or with the Devil's Chord, people complain about it. And I think that, honestly, if we had a full episode that was a musical, people would not, they'd probably be done with it. The novelty would wear off after like 20 minutes. And I don't think people would be really here for it. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But I think
partly to do with the commitment, I think, as well, though. I think if you commit like they did with Lux and went, we've got a 2D character here, we're really going to just, we're not going to half do it. We're not going to do it for 15 minutes at the start and then sort of forget about it. This is what we're doing. Yeah. So I think there is maybe that's partly to do with it, the fact they committed. Yeah.
But I think it really worked because it was not. It fitted the formula of Doctor Who and the storytelling of Doctor Who, and it just works. And I think that trying to go the Buffy road sometimes doesn't work as much as we would like it to. I would love to see a musical episode of Doctor Who, but I think that sometimes you can experiment too far to the point where people
switch off.
It's not the same show. Yeah. It's outside it's a step too far outside the confines of
because I really liked when the Doctor and Ruby started singing in Church from Ruby Road. I thought that was really fun. But I think it is interesting how some things people just reject and some things people are really open to in terms of new things. And I'm really glad that with Lux, this is an example of doing something completely different and people loving it. I don't think I saw anyone say this is wrong or Doctor Who doesn't fit this. It just worked. And I thought that it was a fantastic episode and they got it pitch perfect in that.
Cool.
Agreed.
So you thought that we were going to end on a positive.
Oh no! Don't.
Oh dear, no, Pete.
Gonna hit you with Devil's Advocate.
Oh. No,
it's the Devil's Chord, isn't it? Not the Devil's Advocate.
What? Sorry. I just closed my eyes and I opened them. And Bok was there.
Bok's there. This isn't a question from me. Bok told me to ask you this.
Oh, of course.
Hello, I'm Bok.
That's exactly what he sounded like in the Daemons, isn't it?
Exactly. It's like he's in the room with us.
When are you going to get that big finish gig?
Yeah. So Bok wants to know. Hello. He wants to know what's one thing that if Doctor Who does get commissioned again, what's one thing, not a negative of this season, but what's one thing that you'd want it to do differently, or what's one thing that you'd want it to change slightly, or tweak slightly, or improve slightly about what it's doing now. So, I know you've not had much time. Well, you've had no time to prepare for this.
I've got one.
So, well, you can start one, Josh. You've kind of already given us one there about the musicals, but you can give us another one.
Well, no, because I'd love to see a musical episode, but it's just whether people would be down for it. Um, I think Shooty's regeneration could have been done better, and the implications of that we're still yet to really completely glossed over me, and I'm not even sure are even going to be repercussions because rewatching the scene with Jodie when she turns up and is saying about I've been pulled out of my times. She said, I've been pulled out of my time stream because there's a great big time schism on the way caused by
Yes.
you,
Yes.
whatever that means. And actually rewatching it reminded me a lot of in the original Main Range Eighth Doctor audios, before Zagreus, you had Neverland, where the Doctor unleashes this wave of anti-time, which then causes repercussions on the universe in leading into the next story.
Mm.
And rewatching it, I thought, is that sort of what's going on? And maybe what's going on with Billy Piper in that in changing the universe by 1 degree to bring Poppy back into it, other things have been changed as well. If that is how they're gonna do it, that would be very interesting to see. But I think that it all happened way too quickly. And if that is the intention, that's exciting, but it happened too fast to be fully digestible. And I think that we've spoken before when we were talking about the reality war about the reshoots, and I think that the ending did feel quite abrupt. I wish there was a better send off. Um, but yeah, that is something that I noticed giving it another look. It seems like the regeneration, the Doctor's actions in unleashing vortex energy is something that might have repercussions in the future.
It could now sort of spin off in that direction. They could,
Yes,
they could
yes.
use that as a kind of an explanation for
That might,
Yeah.
I think that's
next.
possibly
Yeah.
what's happening.
Interesting.
Good shout.
That's probably why we've got the Billy Piper regeneration. But yeah, I think that that could have been done better. And of course, there is Susan, but that's a whole other thing.
Mine is that I've seen a lot of criticism online for Doctor Who bringing back things from the past and bringing back so many references to the past and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's not actually my negative, or not. That specific thing isn't my negative. What my negative is that it's all the kind of this when they put old Doctor Who on screens, and when
Yes.
and you know that I've talked about this before on the round table, but I just find it really takes me out of it because when it's something that's sort of within the world, when it's like diegetic, when it's within the, when it makes sense where it's been in the world. So if someone takes a picture of a character and that picture comes back later on, amazing, I can get by that. But when there's like clips of episodes where there wasn't anybody to stand there with a camera filming them, I just think how it just doesn't. I don't know. It brings me out of it when I'm like, oh, I know that promotional still, or I know that promotional video, or I know that bit too well.
Graham Harper was there behind the camera or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, it just doesn't quite work for me, and I think I remember when we first started getting little glimpses of like previous Doctor Who's in the new series. So like a Human Nature, you get the journal, which again makes sense because it's a drawing, it's part of the narrative, and then you get, I think that after that you get the Next Doctor, which I think worked because it hadn't been done before. It was the first time it had been done. But I think now that it just happens so much. I think, and it's not like a recent complaint. I don't think it's exclusive to Russell's era. I wouldn't even say it goes back to Chibs. I'd say it goes back to probably Stephen Moffat's era with like Magician's Apprentice, when Davros was playing all the previous clips of the Doctors, and it just slightly brings me out of it because once you get past that initial rush of, oh, there's Tom Baker and there's Peter Davison, it's kind of like, but how did he get those clips? And like, are we meant to just brush past that? And like, I know it's sci-fi, and I know you're meant to suspend your disbelief a little bit, but it just kind of it brings me out of it.
I would say that maybe I'm just miserable, but I don't even get that rush anymore because
I don't. I was being generous.
Yeah, it's just again.
But to put a little spin on it, to put a little positive on it, I did like it. To tie into my last positive, I did like it when Anita was going through all the old Doctor episodes. Even though it was a little bit fan wanky, it kind of worked because she was within those scenes. It wasn't like
she's within the realm. Yeah.
But when we've got Ncuti watching Pyramids of Mars, and it just seems to be happening a little bit too much for me, and that might just be a very personal complaint. Maybe nobody else has got an issue with it.
I think for mine, sorry, Pete, I would agree in terms of the classic stuff. I think that personally, I don't think the show needs so much of a reliance on the past things. I think the reason why, and so many people have said it before, that 2005 revival worked is because it did kind of break off and go, you don't need to have seen any of this stuff that's gone before, whilst also still making it fit within the established continuity. I think that what I would love to see Jadoon, Slitheen, whatever. I don't have an issue with that. I think that what it is when the show has a bit too much of a reliance on.
Yeah.
Do you remember when that happened in last season, or more so like a good, or in the 70s, or do you remember when that happened in this moment? And I don't think it's need. I don't think that's needed from a story point of view, and I think it slightly alienates certain people watching. It kind of makes people go, well, look, if this is what it's implying, that I've got to go back and do my research, then do I really want to stick around? So yeah, to that degree, I think that's kind of my point, that I think that the show can just flourish, like Josh, you were saying, new writers, new stories, and focus on that aspect. I don't think we need to have any real reliance on the past. And I'm not saying reboot the show, obviously.
Yeah.
It's just a case of like, let's move forwards, and if we see the odd thing pop up, like I say, then that's I love that aspect. But I don't think we need a kind of, the reason you're here is because of that thing that
50
happened
years
in
ago,
series 6. Yeah. So
but also the with this season with Omega, but also with last season with Sutek, both of those could actually have been new villains, and would have been quite memorable new villains to go, oh, didn't Ncuti have that amazing big bad at the end of his first season, who we all remember now? Didn't have to be Sutek. It was nice that Gabriel Wolf came back and did that, but even with like Omega this year, it didn't have to be Omega. It could have just been someone from the hell down there.
A new Time Lord, or a new
or even a new villain. Yeah,
new villain.
The other.
Yeah, I think actually tying into that, the thing I would say, because when you mentioned Susan, I thought, oh my god, and yeah, I still think that's criminal, but perhaps couldn't have been helped in the circumstances, the way that whole thing went. I know people have praised the Well in this video and on the Roundtable series. I think that particularly because it didn't work so well for me, not so much the whole atmosphere of it and the premise, but I think particularly just the fact that it was a Midnight sequel, the fact that Midnight Entity was in there. I think that's one of the most egregious examples of what we're talking about personally for me, because that could have been something new, something different. I think from the way Russell's talked about it as well in his column in the magazine, like it sounds like Sharma kind of had some pretty good ideas to go off in a brand new direction. There's going to be something about a plague striking a colony base or something, and it's going to be quite interesting. There's going to be some nice real life science in there, and they kind of explored a number of options, I think, for that story. And then for whatever reason, it became the Midnight sequel, and I suspect it had kind of less to do with her, and it was more Russell kind of rewriting it. Again, for whatever reason, we don't know the kind of behind the scenes aspect of that. But I just think with that, it's like every episode this season, I suppose, there was something like that, some callback in some way, it felt like, or something like that. And I just think, again, I know like Praxis, for example, is an episode that on this review series kind of gets derided sometimes, but an episode, it feels like we don't really get episodes like that, or like kind of
that's true. That's
any
fair.
of them in series 11, or and I'm sure before that as well, but that's kind of the most recent example that I can think of, where it's like just these stories that do stand alone and don't have these callbacks. The villain can be someone new or whatever,
or even something like The Unquiet Dead or something.
Exactly. Something like that. It's kind of looking forward. So I suppose that's what I'd say, kind of going forward as well. If we could have obviously, yeah, callbacks and stuff still in there, but like in between those stories, some more standalone stuff. And there's not this kind of constant need to have something in every single. Cause it kind of feels a bit like, sort of, yeah, like the way that's done with the marketing and everything. Like every episode has to have something that we can then take and stick on YouTube or whatever, and say, "Oh, this was the bit. Did you see this bit? You know, did you see this callback?" If it's kind of cynical in that way. I suppose that's what I would say. Bok.
Yeah. Bok, are you happy with those? Yeah, he's happy with those negatives. He's going to commission Series 3. He needs to talk to Russell about that. So
Return to Oldbourne or Devil's End, rather.
Yeah. So that's
Series 2.
That rounds up the round table.
I've got a question for you guys now. That's just popped into my
That doesn't round up the round table.
That doesn't round it up. You thought it was over. So,
get your Bok out. That's not a euphemism.
Sorry, what? Get your Bok out.
B.
He's up there on the shelf.
So, you mentioned about rebooting the show, Miles. I thought what was going to happen in Flux. Do you remember when?
There's a new universe,
and there's the 2 universes.
I
thought what was going to happen when Chibnall left was they were going to jump universes to start it afresh again.
Okay. Yeah.
And having just had that theory about what's happening maybe with the show now, maybe the universe has changed somewhat. How would you feel about a way of doing a soft reboot? Is that the Doctor is still the same. We're not starting with the first Doctor. The Doctor is still the character we've known for the past 15 incarnations, but now they are living in a universe that is continuity free. Maybe we see the new creation of the Daleks and the Cybermen and everything else.
I'd relish that. Yeah. I think I'm at a point now where, as a fan, I don't mind that. I think, sure, look, if it gives us great TV, great stories, let's do it. You know, continuity is so flexible in the Doctor Who universe at this point. We're used to having so many different storylines with Big Finish, with the books, with all sorts, and we've not had any trouble keeping all of that in our heads. So why not just try and make some new stories, and it doesn't matter. Equally, I don't mind them continuing as they have done. It's not saying, you know, I want that or that. I don't mind. Really.
But I think also, if you want to know, if you watch Arc of Infinity, for example, and you desperately want to know what happens to Omega after that, that's what Big Finish is for. Big Finish is doing all these spin-offs and characters back. The TV series doesn't necessarily need to do that.
There's
no reason why
for that small group of people who want that. There is that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
No,
and Omega is really good. So listen to that.
Listen, there is our final note to end on. Omega is great. It's free on Spotify. All the top 50 of the Big Finish are there. I'm pointing to it as if it's there. There it is. There's the 50 free Spotify adventures. Go and listen to it.
And now Spotify is doing lossless audio, so you can have great uncompressed Big Finish in your ears.
Uncompressed Paul McGann. That's exactly what you want. Yeah.
So we'll be back in about 2040 with the next roundtable for the next series.
Yeah, when Roger Ap Williams become the Prime Minister.
Yeah.
Unless we were talking about travelling maybe back in time and doing something along those lines. But
let us know in the comments what you'd like to see. I suppose.
What do you want to see? What do you want to see? Do you want to see Bok make a return to the roundtable? Do you want to see review some old Doctor Who's?
We've not got long. We better say our goodbyes. The Zoom's going to kill us otherwise.
Goodbye. Thanks, subscribe, like, comment.
The universe will be destroyed.
Thanks to these guys for joining me. Great guys.
Thank you for asking.
Thank you. Thank you for hosting, Pete.
I'm glad we could do it after about 6 months of trying. In the end. Everyone's so busy.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.